Good morning and happy Monday to everybody. I just want to express my heartfelt condolences to the people in Boulder, Colorado, especially those in the Jewish community who were affected yesterday by a brutal act of terrorism. Apparently, it was a lone suspect and he used Molotov cocktails and he used an improvised flamethrower. All of the victims were elderly. According to the news, they were between, I think, 67 years old and 82 years old. And it was at a peaceful gathering, um, basically advocating getting the hostages released by Hamas in Gaza. And the attacker um, allegedly was an illegal alien from Egypt. He had apparently overstayed his visa. I don't have confirmation of that, but that's what they said. I believe it was Yahoo News when I read it. This is just sad all around. This comes barely a week after a brutal murder of two people in Washington, D.C., who were employees of, I believe they worked for the Israeli government. I think one of them was Israeli and one was American, but they were both Jewish. It was a deliberate anti-Semitic attack. Um, it's unfortunate that these kind of things happen. You know, peaceful protest is wonderful. It's guaranteed by the First Amendment of the Constitution, and apparently the people were holding a peaceful rally, and they were attacked by this brutal savage. Um, the guy, he was taken into custody. So it'll be interesting to see what his story is. But he allegedly had yelled "Free Palestine." Um, but what a lot of these clods don't realize is if you want a free Palestine, you have to neutralize Hamas first. Hamas has to be neutralized or eradicated. That's the only way you're going to have peace in the area because the Hamas terrorists are using the innocent Palestinian Arabs as basically as human shields. They're launching attacks at Israel, and then when Israel retaliates, inevitably innocent people get killed. But that's what they're trying to do. They're using their own people that way. It's very sad. Um, I'm no shill for the Israeli government, but they're really in a precarious situation because if they don't do anything, the terror is going to continue. If they fight back, then they end up looking like a bully. Um, it's just really sad. But if the militant people among the Palestinian Arabs, and I say the militant people because they're not all like that. A lot of these are just ordinary people stuck in a really bad cesspool of a place to live, and they're being pimped out by their own leaders. Their brother Arabs don't even want them living there. The Jordanians don't want them living there. The Egyptians don't want them living there, and that's why they erected a big border on the wall with Gaza. Um, I don't think the Lebanese want them there. I don't think the Syrians want them living there. It's like they're using these people as fodder against Israel. And when you have people shouting from the river to the sea, that basically is a call for genocide against Israel. And there are, what, 13 million people living in Israel. The vast majority are Jewish, but they're also Christians, Muslims, um, atheists, and probably Buddhists living there. There's Israel is technically a Jewish state, but um, anybody can live there freely, and they don't get persecuted. So it's just when you have these people saying, "Oh, the Israelis are committing genocide." Well, the Israelis are good at a lot of things. Genocide is not one of them. That's why there are probably twice as many Palestinian Arabs now as there were 20 years ago. So if the Israelis wanted to commit genocide, they could, but they're not. That's just a tagline used. Now, what's funny is you'll see people protesting against the Israeli genocide while they're supporting Hamas, which has in their charter that they want to commit genocide against the Israelis. It's just a bad situation over there. No matter what they do, The two-state solution, I used to believe in that, but I don't see how that's possible, especially when both sides really don't want it. The Israelis don't want a hostile state being next to them, and the Palestinian Arabs who say they want a two-state solution, they really want one state, and that's elimination of Israel. Neither one of those alternatives is going to fly very well. But what is the solution? If Israel retreats to pre-1967 boundaries, then it's only 9 miles wide, and the northern part can be bisected by artillery fire. So they could end up being besieged. Um, if they do somehow make a Palestinian state where they have Judea and Samaria, which is often referred to as the West Bank, but it's been Judea and Samaria a long time. The West Bank of the Jordan River, like east of where Jerusalem is, that area along there. If that would be under Palestinian Arab Authority, and then Gaza would be under Palestinian Arab Authority. Now you've got a disjointed country, basically. How's that going to work with Israel being right in the middle of them? There really is there's no easy solution to this mess. But one thing is for sure, and that is if the Hamas terrorists and others associated with them would lay down their weapons today, there would be peace tomorrow. If the Israelis laid down their weapons today, um, there would be a mass genocide tomorrow. I know that sounds cliche, but there's no other way to look at it. You're not you can't have peace with people who do not recognize your right to exist. And they'll call you a Zionist and all this stuff as if that's a pejorative. I think that calling somebody a Zionist, a lot of people don't even really know what that means. Um, it's like you'll hear people say, well, that person's a fascist, when they really don't understand what fascism is. As it was explained to me, Zionism is just the belief that the Jewish people deserve a homeland. Okay, now what does that entail? That's where you get into the weeds. Well, does that mean they have this, they control the Judea and Samaria, they have all of Jerusalem? I don't know, but basically the way it was explained to me, that's what Zionism means. Now the people who don't like Jews will tell you that, well, Zionism is Jewish supremacy and the right to kill everybody in their way. Well, you know, come on. But people try and have a war with words, but it's just sad. My heart goes out to the people in Colorado. And for those of you who might be doubting what I'm saying, I would feel the same way if, let's say, there was a mosque and there were Muslim people gathering outside and they were getting ready for a service, and somebody came by and fired a weapon, or threw a Molotov cocktail at those people, or assaulted them in any way. I would feel just as bad about it. That stuff, we have freedom of religion in the United States, and that includes religions that you don't like. We do have freedom of worship here, and people should be unmolested if they want to go to their house of worship, whatever deity they believe in. um, that's just part of what makes the United States great. Part of living in a free country means that other people are going to do things that you might find hateful or distasteful. But that also means that you get to do things that other people don't like. It's a two-way street. Live and let. A lot of people need to go back to live and let live. The United States is not the Middle East, and it's different here. We don't have our nation is not a theocracy. Now, ironically, the only country in the Middle East that is a modern democracy is actually Israel, and it is a Jewish state, but you have free rights. If you are a Muslim or an Arab with Israeli citizenship, you can come and go as you please. You can own property, you can vote, you can even serve in the government. There are people who are Arabs in the Israeli Knesset, which is their Congress. The Arab people just don't have to serve in the military. They don't have that obligation. So I mean, they're actually more free living in Israel a lot of times than they are living with their fellow Arabs in Muslim countries. It's an interesting place. I've never been to the Middle East. My wife has been to Israel twice, and she's been to Saudi Arabia twice, both almost in a close time frame. And she had to use two different passports because of I don't know, one of them they won't let you in if you have a passport stamped by the other or something like that. But she was there as part of her job. So she went to both of them, and she said there were certain things that she liked about both of them, certain things she didn't like. But she did say that the Israelis were super intense on their security. Even though she was traveling on official business, they were still, they still ask a lot of questions, and they're very thorough in their screening. So I guess they have to be. They're surrounded by people who want them dead. But Israel is on my bucket list, and I would also like to see Egypt as well. Um, I After my wife retires, we plan to do some traveling. I'd like to see Australia, New Zealand, and South America. So those are some of the places I'd like to visit. Maybe Iceland. I've been to the other Scandinavian countries. I've never been to Iceland. I don't even know if you consider that Scandinavia, but anyway, I flew over it, but that doesn't count. But I've been to England. I've been to Scotland. I've been to Wales. Um, I've been to Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta. I've been to the Balkan states, and I've been to Spain, France, Belgium, Netherlands, um, Luxembourg. I can't think of Canary Islands. That's actually part of Spain, but it's off the coast of Africa. And I've been to Morocco. My wife and I went to Morocco in 2023. Quite interesting. Quite interesting. We had to ride a camel. That was interesting. And we've also been to Gibraltar, which is on the south tip of Spain, but it's actually considered part of Great Britain. That was an interesting trip. I'll save that for another day. I have probably already commented about it when we were over there before. But anyway, I didn't want to get too far off on a tangent, but it's like with technology and the internet and population growth and everything else, the world it's a big place, but it's not as big as it used to be. People can be anywhere within a few hours. And when you have a lot of immigration, or I should say migration, when you have people moving from one area to the other where the culture is totally different, you're going to get clashes. You're going to have people who come from a certain culture, they cannot or will not assimilate to the new one, and it creates problems. And we're seeing that now in the United States. It's a lot worse in Europe, but we're seeing it in the United States. And I just hope everybody has a good week. If you're a religious person, offer your prayers to the people in Colorado. They can use it because Boulder is actually a pretty cool place. I know Colorado, a lot of times they say it's been ruined by California, but I was out there a number of years ago, and I was out there in 2012, and I was out there in 2017. It's just breathtakingly beautiful, and if you ever get a chance to see the Rocky Mountains, it's quite a sight to behold, especially if you go up on Pikes Peak, 14,000 feet. You'll get out of your car and you won't be able to breathe. But yeah, Denver is a interesting place. It's one of those cities that nobody ever wants to leave. Everybody moves there and nobody wants to leave because it's such an awesome place. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great day. And just, it's it takes a lot of energy to hate people, but it doesn't take much to maybe not love people, but be kind. If you see somebody, say, "Hey, how you doing?" It doesn't take much effort. You're going down the road, you come to a four-way stop sign or whatever, two people get there, and wave the other guy on. Don't be a jerk. And you'll be surprised. It feels good when you do something like that. Somebody's merging in traffic, let them in. And you just take a deep breath. It's like, that feels pretty good. If everybody just did one thing like that a day, Just one good deed a day, you'll feel better. Won't cost you any time, maybe 5 seconds. But, you know, sometimes you got to step back from the rat race a little bit. All right. Ciao.